Lori, I got to get you in on this because you've been watching a million hours of soccer, and we got to make sure that you're still tapped in, that your engine is still going. And we've heard you on these calls, and when you're doing the prep for a game like this, you got Germany versus Spain. Germany, we know they had to get through a lot of hurdles to kind of get through this point, and then if you're Spain, you kind of, they're not only looking like the co-favorites in this tournament, but in this game specifically, they have a lot of opportunity in front of them to go ahead and just kind of take control of this game. Was there ever any moment in your call on this game where they looked like this team that just absolutely had control at any moment of this game?
That Spain had control of this game? Yeah. I mean, I think, there's long stretches where I think they felt like they had control. They knew, I mean, it's not a secret that their vulnerability is in transition defensively, right? So that is something they're willing to give away to push players forward and to create more opportunities. So I think credit to them. They did know that was going to be an issue, especially with Brandt and Buell. And they defended those moments at least off-footed. It's not even a word. I might be speaking some like wild, making up some words at this point in time, but they wrong-footed Buell quite a bit. I think she had some heavy touches. I mean, she put herself in some great positions, but nothing came off. So I think there was long stretches where they would have felt frustrated, but still in control, knowing that it was just a matter of time. And I think that speaks to, one, you have fresh legs. You have players that can come off the bench. You can change out that entire front three if you want to, and it looks similar yet very different, which is just wild in itself, depending on who you bring on. And then also you have two of the best players in the world in Bonmatí and Putellas, and they just need one chance. And it is about staying calm in those moments and looking for the moment to take. And honestly, as the lapse in concentration, they give the ball away. I mean, Spain's biggest thing is their repress, right? Their counter press to be able to lock teams in. I thought Germany had done a really good job for most of the game on when to pick those moments to just like alleviate pressure or try to play through that. But like when you have heavy legs, tired minds, you play into that. And that's what led to that Bonmatí opportunity. And then everybody's scrambling at that point in time.
You know, throwing it back a little bit, as these two teams were going into halftime, a scoreless game at this point, where it kind of has that energy of like the scales can be tipped in anyone's favor. I couldn't help but think of that. Just think about how Spain has probably got this bench in front of them to kind of just dip into, in case, you know, that very nice kind of break in case of emergency type of concept. Whereas Germany, obviously, they've got huge limitations in this one. But for what the game was giving, it didn't really feel like this is a Spain side that's gonna come out and immediately make these changes, and they didn't. And I'm glad that they didn't. I thought Patri had an incredible game in the midfield for Spain. I think during certain stretches, I think kind of outshining Putellas at certain times in terms of what her responsibilities and what were, and in terms of trying to like reset things for this Spain side. But it did sort of feel like, for me anyway, that as this game got further into the deeper minutes here, that maybe Spain would feel a little bit panicked at times because of maybe some of all of those historic things that come into play. Those things that kind of maybe creep into your head where you're just like, Jesus Christ, we've never beat this national team before. Like, what does it mean? Like, we're getting good looks, but they're not going in. Like, all of these things. Walk me through that a little bit, Kelley. I'd love to hear, because I mean, like, you're no stranger to going up against a German side in a huge semifinal. Like, walk me through that energy of like not getting those looks or getting that finishing, but knowing that you still have to just sort of keep going against this stingy German side.
Yeah, you know what's funny is that I actually was thinking more so in. I understand what you're asking about around Spain and getting worried. Like, I think Spain going into this game was probably like, we are the better team. We've had the better tournament. We have the deeper bench. We have more players available. We haven't played as many minutes. Like, they for sure were probably walking to this game being like, we have the advantage. We have the upper hand here. But like you said, as the game went on and they weren't converting, it was still tied at 0-0. They do have the history of, we've never beat Germany before. Yeah, that definitely probably creeps into someone's mind. It would probably creep into mine. I would hope that I would be able to like shut it out, but it exists and it's there. So it's like, how do you handle that? And I thought that was maybe going to be what would tip the scales in Germany's favor of Spain not being able to handle, like, we're deep into a game, we have to go into extra time, we have to, dig it out late into these minutes. But they obviously, Spain was able to do it. And I was thinking when Spain scored, I was like, man, to beat Germany right now and think I have 5 minutes to get to level this game, to equalize. Can we do it? Like, did they have the legs? Did they have the heart? Did they have the energy? And it's just, they obviously didn't, but I've been in that place before. You're like, shoot, I got to put everything on the line right now. And I feel like that's what this game kind of presented for both sides.
Yeah, 100%. We see Spain try to like shake things up a little bit. They know they have the bench, so we see Montse Tomé like tap into that. We see Salma Paralluelo come into this game. We see Aitana del Castillo come into this game to try to shake things up a little bit. And I think as things get a little bit further down the stretch, as this thing kind of remains 0-0, and please correct me if I'm wrong, it sort of kind of felt like during certain stretches of those final 15 as if like Germany was making sure that they were just trying to play to maybe get to extra time a little bit, where it was like that's where their strength was. Did it feel at all similarly to you, Lori?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think it was also them just having to manage different moments of the game. I mean, I think the thing that they did so well is, and we said this at the very beginning of the game, because to your point about whether or not Spain also felt panicked. I don't know if that's actual emotion, but like there would have been something like that. It maybe was frustration because they want to enjoy their football. They want to move it around. They want to be able to possess and create all these combinations and stuff. And Germany, I felt like, did a really good job of disrupting that because they're aggressive with their first set of pressure. And it forced Spain to have to play a little bit more quickly than maybe they actually want to at times. At least they weren't able to get like that third player run that causes so many teams defensively an issue. But I think because to go back to, I say that because to answer your question more specifically, I think there was times when they just had to kind of play into that. They had to find ways where they had to like pull it back and make sure they just didn't get too stretched, because if they do attack and they're going after the games, that's when they're going to be most exposed, because they're going to be space between the lines, and that's where Spain can get in between and just start running at that back line. Especially once Paralluelo came into the game, she can get in behind, she can play in front. So I just felt like that was just the natural shifts of the game that were going to happen.
Maybe spinning it ahead a little bit. They eventually get to this extra time. Bonmatí scores this ridiculously incredible goal, and the sequence on this is just Spain understand that the moment they're in like go mode, and we see Bonmatí kind of working her magic a bit toward this end line, and she's on this ridiculous angle and absolutely nails this goal. Kelley, you said it couldn't be anyone else earlier. Why?
Because I think that, I mean, in the moment, you think she's going to cross the ball, right? You even see Anne-Catherine point to her defenders, like, everybody make sure you're marked up. And I think most players would take a look up and be looking across the 6-yard box and not at the goal. And maybe that's why I didn't score as many goals as I could have, because I wasn't looking at the goal. I was looking across always. I was like, it's not my job, it's somebody else's job. I'm going to give it to them, put it there, they're going to put it away. But you see her look up, and in that moment, she sees Anne-Catherine, she sees Berger pointing. And again, I don't think anybody but Bonmatí can put it like perfectly at that angle, at that speed, in that moment, with that pressure. She puts it perfectly. And I think everybody probably watching was like, I literally was like, oh my God. I could not believe it that she scored that goal in the way that she did. So incredible by her. And again, I think that it was, the only players that was scoring that was Bonmatí, and she did. So hats off to her. Incredible.
It definitely looked like a moment where you could just sort of see like a player's awareness and presence of mind coming to life exactly at that moment. And all it took was just like that little lapse of like Berger trying to direct traffic. And it was like that quick fleeting moment, and it was all Bonmatí needed. But this is high stakes, high drama, second half of extra time. You're the team that goes ahead on this goal. but it almost sort of feels like there's still too much time left in this moment. You're like 5-6 minutes and that type of high drama scenario, you're like, oh my God, that's like way too much time. I have to I want to have us touch a little bit maybe on Paralluelo's performance as well, kind of in this final stretch, because this was this player that kind of was supposed to be this impact sub, and this is your forward. Jess, I'd love to hear your perspective on this, because you like this player goes from being an option off the bench as a striker option to try to get Spain ahead. The goal doesn't happen for this player specifically, but now that this happens in this moment and extra time, you have to turn a different switch. You are now a forward. You are an attacking player who has to play defensively. Talk me through making that mental switch.
Yeah, the mental switch is so difficult if you have never been a game changer at the pro or international level. You have no idea how quickly that switch has to be turned on and how challenging it can be being a game changer. I think Paralluelo did very well coming in. She stretched the defense. She got in some 1v1 situations with Berger. You know, she was very dangerous in the final third. So we have to give hats off to her coming in, trying to make that difference. I think she did really well. Her runs, checking to the ball when she needed to, trying to get in behind. But being a game changer, I think a lot of people fail to realize how fast the game is. Even if it is, let's say you get subbed on in the 87th minute, you're like, whoa, okay, I need to breathe, because you're going crazy once you get in. Like you're running like a chicken with your head cut off until you really settle into the game. You want to talk about nerves? Being a game changer is a much more difficult role than people realize. Even if you just get 3 minutes, it is still so hard, because you have to catch up to the pace of the game. And the game is at, there's no 0 to 100. It's at 100 nowadays, especially in women's football. So every game you're going into, it's going to be difficult. But I think Paralluelo did her job as a striker. She created a lot of great moments for the Spanish side. Of course, we would love to have seen her score, but, I think she did really well playing such a difficult role.
Yeah, no, it's tough. I love to hear you say that, because I was like, gosh, this player is also like on a yellow too. So like that was a little bit nervy as well. I was like, oh my goodness, like you could see the switch happen, and like she was trying to make sure she was marking, and there was a couple fouls that were given there, and I was like, oh no, like could you have, like you don't want to get that second yellow. But as far as fitting this forward, like they end up closing this out. They end up sealing the deal. The one brilliant goal is all that is necessary. Lori, looking ahead, you got to prep for England versus Spain now. How does Spain sort of capitalize on all of this momentum that they've generated over the course of this tournament? Because they are they've navigated these Euros as a bit of like co-favorites alongside England. It's like you want to give respect to Lionesses in the sense where it's like they're the reigning title holders. They're obviously returning back to the final. And you've got Spain as 2023 World Cup champions, who are obviously going to make some noise in this tournament. And now they're going to go head-to-head, the two of them, in a repeat of that 2023 World Cup final. So for Spain specifically, since we're talking about them as the ones being to advance, what do they have to do to not only say, like, yes, World Cup champions, but don't forget we're also running things in Europe as well?
Yeah, I think this game prepared them extremely well for this final. I think they couldn't have asked actually for a better semifinal, because they had actually floated pretty easily through this tournament. I mean, 9 different goal scorers. I mean, anybody on that team is scoring goals. And I think this is the first game that they had to really kind of battle and then like look themselves and be like, okay, we're going to have to dig deep. We need our best players to show up in these moments. They didn't get a ton. That's a great shot. It wasn't an easy game for them, right? This is the first time that I felt like somebody battled them physically and actually stretched them mentally. And that was always going to be the aspect of Germany that I think would carry them over, especially after their quarterfinal game against France. So I think similarly, England's going to look at this game and be like, okay, we have to go in. We have to play physically. We need to like win the first tackles. We need to not allow them to like give them too much time and space to play, too early balls, play long at times they didn't want to. So I think the mentality that they get out of this game, there's so many pinwheels at different times happening. I think this sets them up to be like, great, we've got to step up. We've got to be ready for a battle versus England. But I think this past game just prepares them for that.
How about you, Kelley? Do you agree, disagree? Do you think Spain's got all the momentum going into this one?
Yeah, I think exactly what Lori
said.
Is
Kelley pinwheeling to you all too? Or was
just
I the
you,
one?
Bud. Just you, bud. Just
That's
you.
hilarious because all three of you were going to the pinwheels.
We were nervous. I was like, dang, Lori's over there cooking and she's about to cut out. But no, we're still here. We got it. We got it all.
Thinking I'm saying the greatest things, and you all were pinwheeling.
You were. We were worried. We were nervous. Oh my goodness.
We've lost Lori.
You said so many good things that Kelley was about to say how she agrees with you.
The internet exploded.
I agree exactly what Lori said. I think Spain should be pumped that they have this game under their belt going into the final. I think if there's any team that is similar to England, it's going to be Germany in the way that they play. England is a physical team. They're aggressive. And I think that Spain now should feel confident playing against England, although they probably did even before that. I think if anything, England should take a page out of Germany's book and kind of dissect this game and figure out, okay, how can we try to replicate what Germany did here? Because it was successful for 115 minutes of the game. And, find the little nuances where maybe they can thread the needle or find a little weakness. And really, it's just about capitalizing on the transition moments. Like Germany had those times, they had those moments, but they weren't able to capitalize. So I think this game is actually a really good picture for both teams. So it's who is able to go into the meetings, go into the scouting, and make a really good game plan and execute that game plan on Sunday.
Jess, I got to imagine that you feel differently. So before we close out, I want to give you the opportunity for this segment, because look, I don't want to put my homie on blast, but she did get England as her pick to take this whole tournament. So I got to imagine that you feel differently, that maybe England's got something to prove in this final somehow.
I absolutely do. So y'all, my predictions were before the tournament even started, England taking it, Spain getting second, Germany in third. That was my original prediction. So I'll pat myself on the back for that. But anyway, honestly, we have seen so many ups and downs from this English side. They didn't start the tournament off the way that they wanted to, going up against France. Then they go into the next game, they beat all odds against Netherlands and go and crush it 4-0. So we've seen some greatness out of this English side, especially from their game changers. I think Serena Wiegman has been making her changes at the right time. People have been questioning it, but they've been executing when they come into games. So I think that England right now, they have that dog in them. You see Lucy Braun strapping herself up in the middle of the game, doing Lucy Braun things. And you just see this team fight. And this is a very difficult team to fight up against, because you could tell that, when they go into these games, even though they go down, you could see it. You're like, okay, England's about to get another one. Okay, they're about to tie this. It's going to happen before full time when they're down 1-0, still fighting. And with that being said, I think England is going to still take it. I'm sticking with my prediction because they are playing with that dog in them, and I am here for it.
I love it. Stick to your guns, because let me tell you, I had Germany winning this, so I'm out. But I will say this: it was very lovely to see these two teams going head to head, because for those of us stateside watching this, we were definitely watching a little bit of the club on club violence. We were looking at Esther and Katrin Berger going head to head in this one for their respective national teams as Gotham FC teammates. There was a really lovely moment at the end of towards the end of the match here, where you have your enemies for however long the game goes on, but as soon as it ends, maybe you do the hellos and the jersey swaps. And I love this image. If you're joining us live, you get to see this huge Anne Katrin Berger jersey on Esther, followed by the swap for AKB with the much shorter Esther jersey. So lovely scenes to exit this one. Spain on their way to face England in the final.